Hello, this is a video guide for the Chaos Island route in Sonic Frontiers Any Percent. I'm not particularly fast, so I encourage you to watch other guides and videos of actual fast people, but hopefully this will give you an idea of what the route looks like, more or less. To help you follow along, I have my coordinates displayed on the right side of the screen, along with my heading. The heading is the degrees, with north being 0 or 360, and then 90, 180, 270 for east, south, and west. Just looking at the map, you can see there are a lot of slingshots, and we cover pretty much the entire map. The base assumptions for this route are that to clear Chaos, we have to kill Knight, which means we have to clear Pinball, which means we have to talk to the final Tails at Pinball, which means we need 140 memory tokens, all 7 Chaos Emeralds, and 25 storage keys. How do we get 25 storage keys or Chaos Emerald keys? We clear 3 of the cyber stages, doing all missions, gives you 7 keys per cyber stage, and then we dig 4 additional keys for a total of 25. And to do those 3 cyber stages, we need 3 portal gears. So we dig 1 gear and do a duplication trick, and then we dig 1 other gear for a total of 3. To get 140 memory tokens, we dig 17 memory token locations times 8 gives you 136, and then we pick up 4 strays, or just random floating memory tokens along the way for that total of 140. This is the entirety of the island, but first we just need to look at this bottom portion where we spawn in, we duplicate 1 of the gears, we slingshot to the 3-1 cyber stage, maybe we get an extra key there, then we do 2 more slingshots to get the 3rd gear, some more memory token dig spots, and finally 3-2. So before we get started, you need to make sure you're at 30 FPS. If you're doing a route normally, you would have done the Wyvern Escape skip on Ares, and you'd be at 30 FPS from that. If you're just practicing, then you need to change your graphic settings to 30 FPS. Otherwise, the gear duplication glitch will not work. Alright, so this is a pretty straightforward method. We need to get to the top of a tower and grab a portal gear. So after you do the memory token dig, you can use that top or middle spinny boy for a slingshot right up to the top of the island. You dig, and you wait for a second, then you just dash off or jump off and stomp. And as you're falling and collecting the gear at the same time, then it duplicates itself. And I like to use that second spinning boy for the slingshot. And here we are at 3-1. I'll comment that there is a storage key that I don't pick up, but most people do in their routes. Now if you don't like that slingshot that I just showed, then here is a backup, potentially easier slingshot that's just a couple seconds slower. So we still get the dig, and then we go back to these. So your slingshot distance is based on the relative height of the enemy you're targeting and Sonic. So having a greater height difference will make the slingshot more forgiving. So here my angle is a little bit off. Ideally you would go straight to the memory token dig spot. Finally, if you don't like slingshots at all, here is a 3rd method. We still pick up the memory tokens, of course, and then we're going to do a slide launch. So we don't bother with any spinny boys, we don't do any slingshots, we just slide, boost, and you can pick up that stray memory token if you like. Now we're at the top of the tower. Some people pick up these purple coins. And then we do our slingshot across the pit, just like the others. And I picked up those purple coins and the stray token, and it's still like 5 seconds slower than doing the slingshot. And I'm going to show you something really special that probably no one else does because it is quite slow and bad. But if you fail to duplicate the portal gear, like I just did, then you don't have to reset if you can stomach a 30-second time loss. So I grab that same spinning boy, I do my slingshot, but I go over here to the fish portal island. It's an island that normally you never visit, but for this purpose we can grab an extra stray, and there's another portal gear at the top of this tower. Very convenient. And now you have another chance to stomp and duplicate it. So now you can see I've gone up to 3 portal gears. And then there's another spinning boy in a nice position to slingshot right on over to the 3-1 memory token dig spot. So this loses a bit of time, but we do have all 3 portal gears at this point, so it saves time on the next split. Alright, so we got to 3-1 somehow, and now we need to clear it in under 2 minutes. We need to get 20 rings and all 5 red rings to get our 7 storage keys. And at this point, the game will switch back to 60 FPS if you were previously stuck in 30 FPS from the Wyvern escape skip. If you change the setting manually, then you should change it back to 60 FPS at this time. So the stage is pretty tight on the rings. It's pretty easy to die if you mess up any of these sections. But even if you die, it's usually like a 10-second time loss, and if everything goes well, then you can clear this under a minute easily. So you have a minute of playtime before you are at risk of failing the S rank. Basically, this is just a lot of homing attack boost cancels or gritties, but I'll go over the trickier ones in more detail. I recommend you look at some video guides for cyberspace stages specifically, because I'm not very good at them. On that final skip, you want to step off the platform, homing attack, and then boost. If you aim too far left though, you'll hit an invisible wall and you will die. Another mistake is not rotating your camera. So even if you're close enough, the camera forcibly rotates to the right, so you have to counteract that by aiming left, otherwise you won't be able to homing attack and you'll die. You need to step off the platform before you homing attack, otherwise you won't get enough distance and you'll die. If you don't like going for that long gritty, then you can just go off to the right, and this is also useful if you've died and you don't have enough rings, then you can pick up some extra rings and it's easier and safer. Okay, one more time, this is a good example. Step off, homing attack boost, and then as you're flying, rotate your camera to the left, jump, homing attack, and you did it. So after 3-1, we need to do a short slingshot to another memory token dig site, a long slingshot to get the 3rd portal gear, and then we run back, get some more tokens, and start 3-2. Okay, so I'll run through this quickly. After we exit 3-1, then you want to come over here, and we'll do a slingshot from that spinning boy. We just have to go to this temple to dig some memory tokens, so it's not very far. Then we need to slingshot from that spinning boy, and this is a pretty long slingshot, so you want to make sure you get enough distance and height. So I didn't quite get enough distance, so I had to land on the side of the cliff, but the cliff is very sticky, so it's not terrible if you have to land there. We got our 3rd portal gear, we just have to run back. There's one dig site along the way. There's some flexibility with which slingshots you do, which enemies, which directions you do them. So definitely find whatever works best for you. I'll show just a couple more examples of that slingshot. So after boosting away from the spinning boy, if you make sure you run a little bit more, then you'll get plenty of distance and speed and height, and you can land directly on the platform. Some people prefer going back this way. Just be careful that you don't lock onto that pulley. And even with the terrible angle, I can still make it to the platform easily. When I said watch out for the pulley, this is what I mean. If you're too far left, then you'll lose your lock on the spinning boy. Okay, 3-2 is much nicer than 3-1. We need to clear in under a minute 20. We need 30 rings and 5 red rings. For cyber stages, I usually just bumble through. If I can complete all missions, then I'm happy. There's just one trick here at the end of the level that I'll go into in some detail. The trick involves going 3D and 2D, which is when the game thinks you're on a 2D section, but you have 3D movement. So we achieve that by bouncing on this plunger and then stomping. And after you stomp, you can walk off the ledge. And you do another homing attack, boost, cancel, and you're out of the stage. If you're not close enough to that far spring and you do your homing attack and hold right, then you'll end up on the wrong plane and you will lose a lot of time. And here I boosted before I stepped far enough off the platform, so I ended up a little too low. This is also a painful time loss. Here are 2 clean executions. I step off, homing attack and boost. And here it is faster. Alright, so we're out of 3-2. We're going to go get the red emerald. There are 2 memory token dig locations, so after this we should have around 50 tokens, 14 or 15 storage keys. We need to have 1 leftover gear because we're going to do 3-5 after this. I'll go through this quickly once, and then I'll go over the individual pieces. First, we just trick launch off the chair. Then you want to do a slingshot off of one of those spinny boys. There are 2 memory token dig spots on this island. So depending on how much height you have, you can go for the red emerald first or for that dig first. You can do a baby little slingshot, optional. I mean, you can just run over here as well, it's not that far. There's a stray token if you want to route that stray in. And then we get the other memory token dig spot, and we get the red emerald. After picking up red, we do a quick little island hop to reset us back to the chaos starting position. But first, I'll go over that slingshot in more detail. So you need to make sure you're not running too far back or you'll despawn the spinning boy, so you can see that he's gone. Where'd he go? I ran past the end of that cobblestone, which is too far. You want to be like at the end of the cobblestone is a good marker to make sure you have enough distance without despawning him. This time, I'm using the left spinning boy, which can still work, but the real issue is I'm just too close. I didn't go towards the end of that cobblestone path, so you can see it's much lower than before, but this island is pretty sticky as well, so if you can just slam yourself into the side of it, you can run up the side of the cliff just fine. So if your slingshot position is way too close and you don't get any speed or distance, then you can try to make it over to this island and do like a backup slingshot from the spinning boy. This is going to lose a lot of time, but it's a little bit faster than dying and resetting. Okay, so we got our red emerald and we did our island hop, so we're back at the start location. So we're going to run down, grab a storage key, a memory token dig spot. We'll go talk to Tails, get some more memory tokens, and then we're going to start our shield escape skip. So we want to skip the first cutscene of that, which I'll go over when we get there. So for this skip, we use text storage like we did on Ares when we freed Knuckles, but we don't have a shark nearby, or Strider to give us a cutscene. So we're going to collect 400 rings and use that power-up cutscene. So I'm doing some side loops. You gotta make sure you'll get to 400 and then talk to Tails as fast as you can. Mash pause. Make sure you pause the second cutscene, skip it. If all goes well, then you'll be able to move and kill yourself. And then as soon as Sonic starts fading away, then mash triangle or Y or something. If you talk to Tails after you do the memory token dig, then watch out for side looping memory tokens, because it will trigger that little dialogue. As long as you're aware of it, then you can react and you can still get the cutscene skip. This trick can fail a couple ways. If you get a black screen, or you get the cutscene but you can't move after it, then you probably didn't trigger the ring cutscene early enough. Maybe the pause was too late, or talking to Tails was too slow. Alright, hopefully you got through the first cutscene skip. Now we're going to do the shield escape sequence, which is terrible. First you'll have to kill yourself, because Squid's not there. Alright, Squid's there, we do a trick launch. After landing on Squid's tail, we boost off immediately. Now we pick up a blue emerald. Depending on your purple coin preference, you can pick some up. You do need this dig spot, and then we'll do a little Toto toss to make it over to the Squid Island. So you just walk up there and you hold up the entire time. You launch off at a normal angle, and then you hold up while you're in the air. And that like directional influence gives you a much larger margin of error for the angle. Now we have more memory tokens, and we unlock 3-5. Now this is just to waste some time while we wait for Squid to get to his position. Don't actually enter 3-5 yet. So I want to launch off, not even just for the left corner of that pillar. I know it's hard to see in the dark, but once you get to this point, there's some grass, there's some white patterns on the rock. And then we skip the second cutscene, and you spawn right in front of 3-5. Beautiful. So the heading and position overlay has straight north, as 0 degrees. But with the fixed camera angle, when you're going straight up, you're going more like 255 degrees, which is a little bit southwest. So I start going straight forward, and then once I'm down the hill, I hold right, a little bit down and right, boost, and you're out. Here it is zoomed in, so I go down in a little pocket, holding a little right and down. So again, you move straight forward, and then once you go down the hill, you're going to hold right on the analog stick, not all the way. Mostly right, a little bit down, then Sonic starts wiggling, and you boost. Then you have to boost forward to go over the arch. And then just after you land on his tail, boost off left or right. So this trick is really finicky. If you're pointing too far up, for example, or if you've walked too far down the hill, or if you're too slow at positioning, then the spinning shield will kill you, or you won't get the trick launch. Alright, here's one more clean example. Slide down the hill, find the little pocket, boost, and here. So for the Toto toss, you find this crack, you walk up, and you want to shoot about a 45-degree angle up and to the right, and then you hold up on the analog stick the whole way across. So if you had to restart this or something and you find yourself ready to do the cutscene skip before Squid finishes his path, don't. Your game will crash. So here you see I'm waiting for Squid. There he is. Now it's safe to do the skip. So I like to find this last little piece of grass or fern or whatever and point pretty much straight north and we'll run right off. this is a pretty safe method that spawns you on the edge of the cliff. Here that is at nighttime, so you go over to that last little fern, and then that white robot piece is pretty much straight north, or you can use your compass. Straight north, run off, and we skip the cutscene. If you want to be super fast, then you don't want to land on the plant. You want to land right on the edge of the cliff and walk right off. That will spawn you back up at 3.5. But here, I've moved too far left. My angle was bad when I ran off. Here you see, I turn way left and I fall and I don't hit the trigger at all. So I have to redo the entire shield escape sequence. Ouch. Here's an example in the rain where I do the same thing. So you see the white splotches, but I'm just too far left. And I don't get the cutscene trigger. Another failure mode here is going too far to the right and you hit the cutscene trigger. This is painful, but you don't have to restart from the trick launch. It just makes you watch the cutscene and then it spawns you on the edge of the cliff. So it's painful, but it's not the worst. So here's what it's supposed to look like. You launch over, you find the plant, and then you go right to the edge of the cliff where there's some white splotches. See the two white splotches? Kind of like aim between them. But mostly go straight north, and you'll hit the cutscene trigger, and then you'll respawn 3.5. 3.5 is pretty cool because it has no tricks, nothing going on. You just run through the level, try to beat it in under a minute, and you're good. The only strategy is try to skip all of the drift triggers. So we finished 3.5, now we need to go talk to Tails, we get another storage key, we do a dig, we slingshot to hacking, and get another memory token dig on the way. And there's some kind of cool strat here you can do, where you grab that stray, and then you actually do a trick launch off that platform. I can't do that, so instead I just do a slingshot from one of those jellymen. It's pretty forgiving, just don't do it frame perfect or it'll be very slow. Ignore all the terrible cuts here. I had some issues recording this section, but we get some memory tokens, and we do a slingshot from one of these spin boys. Just be careful you don't go too far towards that center thing. And by that, I mean, if you hold right on the analog stick too far, then you'll end up in this middle thing. And it locks you in. If you die, you will respawn in this. You need to reload your last autosave to get out of it. Pretty painful. Alright, continuing on, you get the memory tokens. Do not talk to Tails, apparently loses a second. Instead just grab the storage key here and then do the hacking minigame. Nothing much to say about hacking except it's a cool little play on the Ikaruga Dreamcast game where you switch colors and absorb enemy bullets and whatever. So after hacking, the routes kind of diverge from what everyone else does and what I do, and I'm not good or fast, so make your own decision if you want to follow my route or the normal one. So in this segment, we're going to nuts and bolts, then we go get yellow. Normal people get white, but I save white for after bridge. Either way, you can see that we need 4 token digs in this section, so we should get up to 132. Remember, that's just 1 dig away from the 140 that we need. So if you talk to Tails before hacking, then you don't have to talk to him after. But if you did not talk to him, then you'll need to go talk to him real quick after this cutscene. After you get past that, then we need to go dig 2 memory token locations. After getting both of these, you can do a cute little Air Jordan over to Tails. Now we're going to do a slingshot. But first, go to that pulley and do a little boost cancel off of it. Pick up a stray, and now we're going to use that. Spinny boy is very high, so this slingshot's pretty lenient for the frame input. I go straight over to nuts and bolts. And again, this is where everyone else goes to the white Chaos Emerald. But here we are, starting nuts and bolts. And I'm really slow at this, probably slower than everyone else. So if you want to be fast at this particular segment, I encourage you to watch some videos of fast runners. But I can say skip the blue crates because they have a lot of HP and it takes a lot of time to break them. The other thing is that boosting has like reduced speed here, so it might seem scary to boost with so much lava around, but it's actually perfectly safe unless you do that. But still, it's safe enough. Before I go to the top segment, I like to have around 400 nuts or bolts. You can actually just jump onto the top platform from that. You don't have to go on these rails like I do. A final word of warning is when you're boosting around up here, watch out for those little rocks because they can trickle onto you into the lava. Now we're just boosting over. You can launch off some random geometry or just run across. You don't need to kill that bird. That was an accident. So we're going to do just a simple, gritty slingshot. You don't need to do side loop or anything fancy. Just grab that jelly man and boost straight across. So I aggro the bird. You can see the HP bar in the lower left, so I can't talk to Tails. So I have to run away from the bird, and now I can talk to Tails again. Now you would need to have at least 132 memory tokens at this point. I picked up an extra stray somewhere, but there's 1 dig left in this route, so that's why you need to be at 132 by this point. Otherwise you'll need to pick up some strays somewhere else, or side loop. after we pick up yellow, skip a bunch of cutscenes, and then do another island hop for the final section of the run. So after we spawn at the start position for Chaos, we do a big slingshot over to Bridge. Then after Bridge, we'll slingshot over to White, down to the final memory token dig, talk to Tails, and we need to have 140 memory tokens so we can go talk to Pinball Tails after we break a box to save our position. This slingshot's pretty forgiving as well. There's a lot of height difference between you and that spinny boy, so you should have no issue flying right over and getting the 25th storage key if you haven't already picked up the final storage key somewhere else. There's not a lot to say about this section. Just avoid all of the gold rings. You just want to hold boost and don't touch anything. Here, the spring is below the bottom left enemy. Hit that, and then you need to go through the center. It can be finicky to get the targeting right for that center guy, but do your best in practice. Once you get down to the bottom, if you're lucky, then you have a good cycle, and he's not spinning. That was kind of sloppy, but I got through. If he is spinning, you can roll the dice and try to clip through him, or just wait till he stops spinning so you can go through. And if you hit any of the spinning boys, make sure you pick up enough rings there to get back up to 400. Otherwise you'll have to side loop after this, which is a waste of time. After Bridge, you can pick up some purple coins, or just go on over to the spinning boy on the side of the cliff. Now when you go back from him, you want to make sure that you don't fall off the cliff, but you do want to be close to the edge so that you can roll and get the maximum height differential. On this one, I got a frame perfect slingshot, which wastes a little bit of time because you go so high, but there we are at White. After getting White, you don't even need to Air Jordan, just boost off towards the final dig location, which is in this little temple ruin structure. So now we talk to Tails, and after we talk to Tails, we need to load our last autosave. Otherwise our position gets messed up when we're trying to do pinball skip. And we need to break this box to save our position. Bop. Here's a quick example of doing the slingshot to White without doing the frame perfect slingshot. So launch over, and there you have plenty of height and distance. A nice easy White. Now if you try to do the slingshot to White and you don't quite get enough distance, you can see in this example I actually do have enough, but if you pretend I was going too low over the mountains or something, then you can still veer off and you can go to Tails or the ruin down below. So now that I have 140 memory tokens, I still need to get the White emerald. So you can use this spinning boy conveniently located over there. Just do a slingshot, and you can hit the 2D plane and it kind of pushes you along to the White platform. In this case, you do your boost, but you go for the box rather than going back down to Tails. Okay, so what's going on with this box, right? The idea is that we respawn at that box location, and then while we're blind, we have to run over here to this ledge, and then we jump over the ledge and slide down it. So let's see, we break the box, and that stores Sonic's last position. Don't touch anything else, don't touch the rails, or it will update your position and the trick will not work. So we just want to skip through this as fast as we can and exit back to the title. And after we go to the title, we load our last autosave. And if we properly reloaded an autosave after we talked to Tails, and we broke the box, then we should spawn at that box location. You can see I'm holding down left. And then I end up, right at that ledge. And you can see on the right side my horizontal and vertical speed changing because I'm still sliding even in that cutscene as pinball starts. And now I've died. And that ends the pinball section. Here's a mistake. I'm holding down left just like before, but after the black screen, I jumped at a weird angle and I'm not going to slide into the crater. You can see that my horizontal and vertical speed actually come to 0. So I need to exit back to the menu, the title menu, and try again. So one of the issues is not dying. The other issue is dying too fast. So after this black screen, you can see that I've boosted too close to the crater. Instead of sliding gracefully in, I'm just going to fall straight in and I will die before the pinball section actually loads. And then you get this glitched pinball interface and you have to exit back to the title screen and reload to try again. So after I spawn in, holding down left, you can see exactly where. And then when the screen goes black, I jump and boost, and then pause. You have to pause as soon as this cutscene starts because you're still falling. And if you die before pinball starts, then you don't get the pinball skip. But there, we got it. So you'll spawn on the edge of the crater, and you'll need to die a couple of times. You die once to clear the pinball flag, and then you die again, and this will spawn night. So I like to use that little trick launch. Depending on where you die, you might respawn on the ground floor, which is kind of slow and annoying. If you touch the ground too close to the crater, then when you dive into the pit, you'll actually respawn on the ground and have to fight night normally, which is slow. Okay, we got through pinball, we died twice, now night is ready for us, and we are ready for him. So we're going to let him spin around a couple of times, and then we'll use that part of the terrain to do a trick launch. We got lucky and he decided to sit very close to us, so we can just head right on over to his head and grab that Chaos Emerald. Now there's a way that you can attack Knight after he spins around the second time, and he'll put up a shield immediately without requiring you to parry his attack. But it's a minor time save. Buffer a regular attack, and then stomp, 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 until you get to phase 2. Phase 2 can be a little tricky with the angle of his shield, but try to get in front of it. Ideally, if you're close to him, when you parry the shield, then you don't have to worry about him spinning out of the way. And then side loop again, and then stomp until he's dead. You beat Chaos, good job.